All right, I'm here with Dr. Erik Brower today. Dr. Brower is up in Hudson Valley, has his main clinic and two other clinics that he works with. He's been a chiropractor for over 15 years. I was lucky enough to meet him when he was a student, and I got to screen with you. And I will say, you're definitely one of the best screeners I've ever met. So give us a
Well, thank
little
you.
backstory about you. How'd you become a chiropractor?
I took a test in about fifth or sixth grade in home and careers, one of those classes, and it was a computerized test, and it said physical therapy, chiropractic, occupational therapy. So I knew I was going to be one of those things. I was like, yeah, definitely one of those three things. And thought about chiropractic, and I had a teacher tell me not to do it because he was a failed chiropractor. So I thought it was gonna be PT. So all year, senior year, I interned at a PT clinic, and it was just so boring. It's just for me personally. I was like, I can't do this. Fast forward, roughly junior year in college, I kind of like he really talked me out of chiropractic. He's like, you can't do it. It's insurance driven, and you're just not gonna have a successful life. And at that time, that was an important thing for me. I wanted to provide to help people, and I wanted to be active and do things naturally, but also wanted to make a healthy living. And I was sitting in a bar junior year. A friend of mine was there, and he told me about the weekend. He's going to visit his friend. His parents are chiropractors, and they have this awesome life. And I was like, "Wait, tell me more." And he told me all about it and about their practices. And I was like, I literally left that bar within 5 minutes, ran to where I was staying, and I said, "I'm getting my act together. I'm going to be a chiropractor," and never looked back.
Amazing. And you were an athlete, correct, in high school and college?
Yeah, yeah.
Wrestled? What did you do? You were a wrestler?
I wrestled. I mean, I did all the sports, but wrestling was my main thing. Wrestling, I played soccer all throughout, and but wrestling was really my biggest passion.
That's great. So you go to Life University, you meet some great people. You were part of Maximize Living for a while, is that right? Did you do?
Actually, when I went to school, my biggest thing was grades because I didn't always I didn't I never learned how to study. I never really learned to get my act together with school. I always just got by, like really just without doing much effort. But I knew when I wanted to become a chiropractor, I had to get my act together. So I carried that momentum. I finished out undergrad really strong, and then I carried that momentum into chiro school with a lot of fear that I was like, I can't fail out. So I lived by myself, like really no cable TV, like no internet. Like I just wanted to get my act together. So I did that. I just focused on schooling, and it was my towards roughly a year before graduation, I had this sinking feeling. I said I gotta prepare now for what's next. And luckily, I had some classmates, Neil Heim, Galen Hurl, Michael Viscarelli, and some other, Rusty Herring, and some other guys, Eric Walkie. I knew they were doing some things, and I knew that they were preparing. And I just, even though they weren't really my friends at that time, I said, whatever they are doing, I'm going to do. So wherever they are on weekends, I'm following them. So that's where we started meeting you. We started screening, and
Yeah,
that's how
and
I
what a
met.
team. I mean, you
Yeah,
just railed off five wonderful
and there
chiropractors.
was others: Tyler Swan, Jessica Harden, Sam. So like there was many others too, Sam Stewart, and others that I'm leaving out. And we just all got together, and we just got after it, and that was the formation of what AMP became.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, you guys became unbelievable communicators in our community. And I saw it when you guys were students, and I just knew that success was in your guys' future. And Rusty Herring, I really enjoy. I mean, what he's done, and he's got four clinics in Alabama and doing wonderful. But Eric is kicking butt as well and doing some great things above chiropractic.
Totally,
Well,
that whole generation of chiropractic is just so strong, and Maximize Living was going on at the same time,
yeah.
and 100%, and these other groups. I mean, we were just getting after it. We left no stone unturned.
It was kind of like the golden age of really a lot of you young students becoming doctors, and I think we're all in that boat. I was the same way. I had an older brother and cousin that were chiropractors, and my biggest fear was not being able to graduate, and that
Yep.
drove me. That was the to want to be successful and graduate. And I followed you guys when you were at Amped, and I really loved what you guys did and how you built that. And I'd always been a fan of your, I'd go to seminars, and I really enjoyed everything you guys did with that. Um,
Yeah.
and then you kind of you brought some really cool associate partners on, and Dr. Anthony and Dr. Sam, and
Yep.
they were really first to bring Softwave to the Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
And I think you're more you like to kind of check the boxes first and really make sure. I started reaching out to you a couple of years ago, and I just think you were in a building growth, and it just wasn't ready for you. But tell me, like, I definitely kind of sent you messages and like, hey, Erik, what's going on? You got to see what we're doing here. You probably thought I was this crazy old professor from Life University. I know, but tell me your thought process and how you evolved to say like, okay, I need this.
Well, I go back to um, I had left Amped, and there was a lot of reasons, but mostly, I mean, at that time, I had my third child. We're having four. The travel, the I would be in my clinic all day, and then we'd do Amped at night and in lunch breaks, and just some of those things. Just I think inherently looking back, it just really wasn't the writing on the wall for me anymore.
Hmm.
And there was a lot that went into that company and everything that we did, and I was just so proud of it. But then I left, and I was like, wow, now I get to reinvent myself, and I get to do it my way, and I'm not part of a herd mentality. And it was like, I think that's necessary early on to be around people doing things bigger than you and all those things. And then I think it's really good at some point to be able to think on your own. And what the push was around that time was the neuropathy thing, and it very well. You and your brother, big founders of that within our profession, from what I understand, and really brought it to another level. But that was intriguing to me because it was COVID, and I'm in New York. Very stressful time. So I really had to start planning on, like, well, what happens if the volume goes down again? What happens if this thing happens again? And it was a very, very stressful time to be in New York for me. And we kept things going amazingly through a lot of effort. So neuropathy was the next thing, and I didn't want to put too many things out there. So you talked about software. I was like, look, I got this other thing. I'm going to do this other avenue first. I'm going to try it out. And neuropathy, the training, we worked with Blueprint. They taught us so much, really about business, that I take
Automation,
with me.
they've done such a great job with that.
Yeah. And then we worked with Close for Cairo to work on our day one, day two. And it was like, really just, I was doing a lot of different things, like really systematic foundational things in our practice that I just didn't want to take on something else, because,
And I knew, but let me just say, maybe one of the best decisions that we can make in our life is who we partner with. And you picked an unbelievable spouse in your wife, Dana. Like
oh my, yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just like, and the two of you together, I think, have built such a great, amazing company up there. To have someone like that, and I think she was like, "Okay, you've got to focus on this first, and as soon as we're done with this." I mean, that's when Softwave came in, and I was grateful, and I was patient on the sideline, but I kind of always looked at you as like a key kind of opinion person in chiropractic and what you've built over the last 15 years. So we make we train Anthony. You came down, helped out, got to see it, got to feel it. Then we
Yep.
trained Dr. Ben, correct?
Yep.
What a wonderful team he has up there. Was it Wappinger Falls? Is he in Wappinger?
Wapages Falls. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I know they were both doing well, and so you were able to kind of track that. I think we launched in June of this year with you. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and I mean, you did some incredible numbers, and I mean, I know you worked with coaches and other people, but I mean, you were literally, I think the first 4 months you did over 40,000. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we've been averaging 30 to 35 visits, at
With
the
software.
220 price, 192 with if they, obviously buy a pack. And a lot of it, through previous, like, just being in this game, and understanding patients and what we need. We didn't have any coaching. We took bits and pieces of things that we've done, and we've just put it together. Your trainings, obviously there's what's already in a platform, and we
Hmm.
just trusted our gut on it. We're like, if this thing works so well, you know, we really should be very simple. And to the point where when you do other services, you'll find it's almost like another whole small business within your practice. And I think you have to treat it that way. I think it's like you can't be like pie in the sky, like, oh, we're just going to add it. Because our practice, we're over 1,000 a week. If we add anything, it's going to stress my team out. So we made this a one-person show pretty much other than scheduling. We brought in a doc. She does everything within that room. And she's incredible, Dr. Ali Medina,
I met
who's
her.
out there doing her thing right now.
Hmm.
And she does it all. And that's the way I wanted it. I wanted to keep the team out of it. I didn't want to stress them. All they have to do is schedule.
And by the way,
She
I met your office manager, Maria.
Yep, Maria. Yep.
And I mean, how lucky to find and train someone that has a vision that is parallel to yours. But you created this own separate little profit center within your business, and I think you've done that with other things too. But I
Yep.
think simplicity is key, right? And I mean, the Germans, if you look at the device, they have this saying that less is better, right? I mean, it's just a really well engineered, designed device. Um, so, what's it been like to add three devices within the Hudson Valley? Tell me what type of how has this not only transformed your practice but also your community? Tell me what do you think in that?
Well, for me personally, I think there's Softwave and decompression have been great additions to our practice. Neuropathy, we learned a lot. We found out it's not for us, and that's okay. Now we could treat neuropathy and work on a neuropathy case with Softwave. So in a different area, it's for us, but not the traditional sense. It just wasn't for our office, the clientele and the processes. I think decompression and Softwave go perfectly in a chiropractic centered office because we're seeing a lot of volume and we're a principled office. However, what people don't have knee issues, shoulder issues, ankle, foot, whatever it is, and we don't even use them on a lot of spinal cases because we trust our process, but there are some that do. There's some SI cases that are just very chronic. So I think it's a great addition. What else would people have if they didn't have this? They're gonna, how many conversations are you having in a room with somebody with a knee issue? You're adjusting it. There's some bone on bone. There's arthritis. And it's like they're gonna go get a shot. They're gonna go get PT. They may have to go get it replaced. Now we have a really viable option on top of the stretches we give and the adjustments we give for those other
Yeah,
extremities.
it's non-invasive. There's no cortisone. It takes minutes to deliver. There's little to no downtime. I mean, here's the thing. You are a principled philosophical chiropractor. The name of your company is called Innate Chiropractic,
That's right.
right? So, my biggest thing is some of these philosophical chiropractors, they won't even look at it. I mean, they look at me and they're like blasphemy, and I'll never
Yeah.
forget. I was teaching a seminar at Life and during homecoming, and I said, if Dee Dee Palmer and BJ Palmer were alive, they'd be using this device. And they were like, wow, you. And I'm like, the diagnostic component alone allows you to pinpoint where the true source of injury and pain is coming from. So
Yeah.
if you could talk to your younger self 10, 12 years ago, how would you relate to that and talk to that philosophical aspect about bringing this on?
If I was talking to myself that long ago, I would have been the same way because, I don't want to say drinking a Kool-Aid because that makes it sound negative. I think you got to do what you got to do, but there's also something to being able to be free thinking. I think I had to be that way. I had to go all in because we do zero marketing for Softwave, and that's because the innate chiropractic business that we built, I have done zero ad spend, and we're doing 30 to 35 a week. And it's just internal referrals. So it's like I'm grateful we built this base. I don't know that you would have changed me. I
I've
was
been
just one
trying
of
for
those
five
people.
years. I mean, it took
Yeah.
everyone's on the
But I think
road.
there's something to be able to be a free thinker. I do think young docs have to be they if they do it, they have to do. It's not they can't be chasing a next shiny bright thing. It's like if they're gonna do Softwave, you got to make that work. you can't do Softwave. Oh, and well, now I'm going to add this. I think there's dangers in that, and I will say that to anybody to this day. And there's dangers in that for me still. I see docs as chasing and chasing. If you're gonna do it, keep it very simple. Softwave is a great add-on because it works and it sells itself. You do the discovery session, they get to try it, they buy it or they don't, and it's like they get results or they don't.
It's a soft sell. You know
Yeah,
what I
it
mean?
is.
And I love that about it. And I think you brought up a great point. I mean, I really enjoy what Blueprint has done for our profession, but it's very, I would say, not difficult, but it's more difficult to implement in a clinic system than this. This is like plug it in, fill it up with water, and add humans, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and for me, I'm a little dyslexic. I have ADHD. I had to focus so much to build our neuropathy centers down here in Atlanta. And a lot of doctors are like, "Hey, can you teach me neuropathy next?" And I'm like, "It's very complex, man. There's so many layers to it. It's just not a cookie cutter."
It's for some people, and for some people, it's not. Just like anything. Just like me
Mhm.
being seeing this many people. I mean, I'm probably in the vast minority that would even want to consider that. You know what I mean? So it's just for some people it's for, and some people it's not. And I think for me, that style, like yourself, was challenging. And who wants to have a challenge every day? I mean, in that regard, like if it comes naturally to you, I mean, this is our profession. We want to have a calling towards it, and not like, oh, every day I got to pump myself up. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Well, I mean, I love what you built. I see you as a true leader in our profession. I can't wait till you start coaching. I know your kids are young. You have three children now?
Four.
Four.
Yep.
And I love watching your oldest son is a amazing little wrestler and looks like a great athlete. So, at some point, I hope that you're gonna what you've learned and what you've developed, you'll actually turn around and start teaching other doctors. Is that in your vision? Is that in your future?
Yeah, yeah. I'm always thinking like, what's the next thing, and I do want to give back. I think there's a lot. I've been down a lot of different roads, and I've learned so much and had a lot of experience in a lot of things. So I think at some point I would like to give back to docs that are determined to receive it. You know what I mean? That really that are hungry. You know what I mean? To see what they can do.
Well, I mean, it seems it's obvious that you thrive for excellence in everything you've done and what you've created with your Dr. Ben and Dr. Anthony is just and I've traveled all over the country and met with different chiropractic clinics and trained over 350 different Softwave clinics and yours really stands out in an elite level and what you guys have done. And I love being just a fly on the wall and watching what you've done over the last 15 years. So I commend you and your lovely wife Dana and your great team. And please tell Maria I said hi. I think the reason you bought it is because we worked on Maria that day and she was sold.
Well, you've always been so good to me, Doc, and you've always just been an amazing teacher at first, and you've always stayed in touch. So, no, we're happy to do it. I'm sorry it took me so long. You know what I mean? um, but it's an amazing device, and we're grateful to have it in our office for sure.
If I had another 100 guys like you, we would definitely take over the healthcare system, and we're going to make an eternal impact now. So, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your time today. Please give your staff my best, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye bye.